Hello everybody, this is Dr. Nowak again. I just wanted to make this video to show you a few things and to clarify some of the testing I did on the Seachem denitrate. When I first got it several years ago, I used the Seachem in a bag, and I put the bag in a sump. You know, the same bags you use that you put your carbon in. And you can tie it with a string, or they'll have a zipper, and that's what I put it in, and I put it in the sump. It didn't seem to do anything, and I figured, well, okay, it didn't do anything probably because of water shear. You know, the water would just go around the bag because water is going to take the path of least resistance. And it does say on the directions that water should be passing through it at least 50 gallons an hour, you know, and no more. Kind of weird the way they state it. So what I used an Eheim Echo Complete with the 3 stages, and the first 2 stages I put in, you know, your sponge and then finer and finer floss, and there was no carbon in anything because I wasn't going to use it that. And I used 2 of the containers of the Echo Complete, and in the 3rd tray, since the trays are only about that round, maybe 5-6 inches round in the Echo Complete, I put the Nitrate made by Seachem, and I put 2 containers of it in. And because the Echo Complete comes with valves on it, disconnect valves, already with the filter, it worked out great. So now I'm able to adjust the outflow of the pump, you know, to get that slow 50 gallons an hour, even though it's not a very strong pump to begin with. Well, this canister filter can be placed because it's only so big. That's one I think I have on a video, and I said it broke just recently because I've had it for several years, and it cracked and started leaking. But anyhow, I used it on my antique tank, in fact, that Echo Complete. So I used it for several years before it broke. But anyway, I used that for the experiment too. And so it was in the top tray. So that means all the water is being cleaned before it comes to the Seachem denitrate. And I slowed it down, put it on the tank. Now this filter is not designed to filter out the tank. It's only designed for one purpose: denitrification, just like the manufacturer said. Well, I probably didn't make myself clear enough in the thing when I used that Echo Complete, trying to get that like 50 gallon an hour, keep it, then clogging. And I think I used that 6 months, 7 months, and it was a hassle because you got to kind of turn the valve. Sometimes it would go slower as it starts clogging up, then you have to turn the valve. So I realized every day I was checking that canister to make sure the flow rate was right, that it hadn't turned into a trickle, or it had stopped, or from clogging up, because it is going to pick up some detritus and everything else that's in your aquarium. And it didn't do anything. It just acted like another ceramic filter media that was out there, or pumice filter media, or whatever they make them out of, Sinterklaas. It didn't do anything as far as nitrates were concerned that I kept testing. And I was testing with a Lamont test kit. So that's going to be pretty accurate, but I did not notice anything. And then I took the whole system off, and there was no change. So I realized that the Seachem wasn't doing anything in the system. So I just want to make that clear. That's how I did it. In case you want to use that product, if you do put it in a bag, you got to make sure the water just doesn't flow around it, even if you put it in a canister filter, because that's not going to do any good, because water is going to take the path of the least resistance. Like I said in the video, when I used to use Dick Boyd's, I'd make sure I took the bags at Dick Boyd and I would pack them in there, and at least use 2 bags, put them together, spread them out, so the water had to go through the Dick Boyd's and just not go to the path of least resistance. I just thought I'd bring that up, make it clear. That's how I tested it, and it just, maybe it acted like a biological filter, but as far as, I don't know, because I already had biological filter and I didn't have a problem with ammonia or nitrites to begin with. It just didn't do anything. Okay, I did the same kind of test on a product called Ciparex by Sarah, and it didn't do anything. I mean, I didn't notice any remarkable nitrate reduction or anything. I just want to make that clear. That's how I did it. It didn't seem to work. So I kind of thought, it's another product that makes claims, but it didn't do anything for me. So I think I spent almost like $40 on 2 containers of it. But I just wanted to bring you up to date. That's how I did it. And if you want to try it, I would suggest like you use a canister filter or something where you can dial it down through quick disconnects to make it trickle out of the canister filter. It's a good idea. But anyhow, next thing I want to bring up is I haven't been making some videos because I was on vacation. And when I was on vacation, I decided to use this. This is a Eheim fish feeder. That's all it is. And you can buy this off of the internet. And of course, if you push the button, as you can see, it spins, dumps the food in the aquarium, and comes back into position. Has a little fan in the back. And I use this in the lanai, which is lots of humidity. You know, this is Florida. And it didn't clog up. The food went in correctly. And I noticed that when it spun around, it would take all the food and spread it out throughout the tank. Well, because I'm on vacation and I can't turn the motor off for feeding, because my motor has a button that you can push and it gets 10 minutes for feeding. So whatever food you have has time to sink to the bottom. Because I wasn't home, I had to think of some other way. So I bought this Eheim bottom part here. This is an add-on, and it comes with a container like this. And you just connect it up, and then you connect up your thing. And now when it spins around, it dumps the food in here, and then the food has time to go through the aquarium, then sink. So no currents will push it around the aquarium. So when I set it all up, I set it up about a week before I left, and everything's working fine. Really, everything. It's a nice automatic feeder, really. Well worth the price. You can automatic feed it by pushing it. You can put different feedings, like this one will take up to 4 feedings. You just adjust the top cap here. You adjust that on how wide you want to make it, depending on what kind of food you're going to use. It worked perfectly fine. Okay, that's not the problem. The problem is this, and this is my fault, I admit it. The goldfish would go in here and they'd grab the food. And I saw that and I thought, oh. So I watched and they just backed up, left. And it happened a few times. They went in here, ate the food, because they, you know, hungry little guys, and they'd back off out of here and go swimming in the tank. Okay, so when I came home, though, a disaster happened. Goldfish was inside here, and one of the ranchus. And I don't know how long he was stuck in here, but apparently he didn't know or forgot how to back up and get out of here, as I saw other ranchus had done. I don't know how long he was stuck, but I'm going to be honest with you. I came back and I looked, because that was one of the first things when I got home from vacation. We were in Vegas to look at all the tanks, make sure everything was doing well. Not only that, but on the side of his whole head was all raw and red. I was going to take some pictures of it, but it was kind of gross. You know what I mean? he was pretty beaten up. I don't know how long he was in there. He could have been in there a week, several days, but the whole side and underneath here was just raw, beaten up, in very bad shape. So the first thing I did is got him out of here. I looked at him, I thought, oh, well, but one thing I did not do is, like you'll see on other videos and stuff like that, treat the fish with some chemical. You know, maybe put him in a hospital tank, treat him. He was in pretty bad shape, that whole side. And I thought, well, buddy, I don't have time right now to deal with you, and let's see what happens. Well, that's been over 2 weeks ago. Healed right up. No chemicals, no antibiotics, nothing. The fish, you can't tell what fish got stuck in here. Healed right up. Didn't have to do anything to him. Healed himself up. I was so happy. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. You go out there. Well, you just saw my goldfish tank. If you went out there and looked at those goldfish, you could not tell which one got stuck. Healed up 100% within 2 weeks. That whole side that was all raw and red. I mean, it looked bad. It looked like, I wonder if this goldfish is going to make it. But I think because of using the anoxic filter and stuff. Remember, I've had other stories of fish getting damaged and they were gone. I think because of that, the fish own immune system is a lot stronger than other ways of filtering. That's just what I think, because I've seen other goldfish get torn up, get caught in skimmers, get all beaten up, just threw them back into the pond that had the anoxic filter, and they healed right up without any chemicals or anything. Okay. Another thing I wanted to show you is this. This is a container. Now this container here, it makes a perfect betta container. And I bought this from, I think I bought this from Hobby Lobby here in the United States. It's the name of a store that sells different products. And I saw this and I thought, wow, this would make a perfect little betta container, right? Put it on your desk. And then the top here came off. And then this is a CD from CDs. A lot of you may not even know about this, but I used to make my own CDs. I used to write my book on CDs and send them out all over the world so people can read my book for free. I would do that for free to get the information out about the anoxic filtration system. Well, this was in the pack, like on the top or bottom, and it fits absolutely perfect. Didn't have to do anything to it. And wow, that's pretty nice. And this, I think, at one time was glued, but the glue came off of the top. But like I said, this thing has to be 15, 20 years old. But I wanted to show you something, and I just thought of this because I did a video on small aquariums, like a 5-gallon, making it a plenum. Watch this. Look at that. I just remembered this. This is a plenum for a betta container. This shows you how long I've been using plenums. Even in this small container, all this is a stainless steel screen you buy at your hardware store for your sink. Fits perfect. It fits perfect. Now, when you put this, instead of just taking your gravel, your substrate, whatever it is for your betta, I literally took this, put this down here, and then poured the substrate on it. Now this would be This would be just the way the plenum was originally designed. This does not have a bubbler or anything else. But what that did and what that does is keep your substrate off the bottom, so biological and chemical pathways still remain open for your little betta. And yet I remember I had fish in here, like a betta and paradise fish, do real good, something like this, for years. Like I said, this has got to be 15, 20 years old. And there's proof of how long I've been using plenums. It didn't have a bubbler. Now you can take it, put whatever substrate you want in it, plants, whatever, put your betta in there, your male betta in there. And right now I don't have any kind of fish in it, so I put this little ceramic goldfish in it. But I thought I would show you that, just to show you that using a plenum, even in a small container like this, why not? The substrate in here is a little too big. I could have went with a lot smaller substrate, or even in that case, I could have cut a little bit of ground cover fabric, put it on top of the screen, and then put sand in here, and then a plant or whatever. You know, it's far better. And you do want it to be easily clean. But I remember that I thought, even though this is very, very small, don't put the substrate directly on the bottom. You can't get any smaller than this. And that's probably the smallest plenum I've ever made for an aquarium, or if you want to call it aquarium, or if you want to call it a fish bowl. I don't know what your preference would be on something like this size. But I wanted to show you that because I was sitting there at my desk and I said, oh yeah, that's right. This has a plenum in it, even as small as it is. And since I did that video, I wish I would have showed this in that video of setting up the 5-gallon, but I even had a small cube aquarium, in fact. And the reason I don't have it anymore is it started leaking. And I had that on my desk. And it was only a small little cube aquarium, you know, so big. And I remember I got rid of it because it did start leaking. But that also had a plenum. And I made a plenum in there and a little bubbler off to the side. I remember it was just a small one. And I used the bubbler from the Lee's for that aquarium just to get the substrate off the bottom. I remember I had shrimp in there, that aquarium, and the bubbler was very quiet. It only bubbled up slowly. You know, you could count the bubbles, you know, 1, 2, 3, you know what I mean, just to keep the water circulating, plus it would add oxygen. Now, I remember that little container did have a filter in the back. I don't know if they make those filters anymore. It could have been a Fluval, but heck, that couldn't have been more than a gallon. Once again, I made a plenum, and in the back, I just took what they had back there and used the kitty litter for, you know, the anoxic part of that. I remember in that container, I did make videos, and I did show them of the shrimp. And in that video, it's on YouTube. You'll see the shrimp, you know, they're moving kind of fast. That was from that tank, that little bitty tank with shrimp in it. And I think the shrimp are moving real fast. And that's the way I filmed it. Once again, that had a back little pump. Yeah, it would use the plenum, and it also used what was in there I took out and made my own kitty litter basket. I think it was a Fluval, because it could have had a sponge in there once again with a little bag of carbon and a little bag of their biomedia that they give you And I just think I took the little sponge out, cut the center out, and just made one big bag of kitty litter, put it back in. That way the sponge would act as a filter. Anyhow, I just wanted to show you that excuse me, plenums I've been using for years and years and years, even on betta containers, little tiny containers of a gallon or less. I've used plenums on all the time. This is proof. Heck, this thing's got to be at least 15 plus years old, this container. Like I said, I bought it at Hobby Lobby. And of course, I did want to tell you about the Eheim feeder. It works fine, really. Like I said, that's 100% my fault. I was thinking of maybe putting something on the bottom here so the food would go through, but the fish couldn't get in. And I didn't have time before I left on vacation. And when I came back, of course, that goldfish was in terrible shape. It's healed up. And I just wanted to tell you that because I know a lot of people out there are scared of having goldfish. And maybe they've had them in the past and they've had very good luck keeping them. And I do understand. I was the same way. I'll be honest with you, 40 years ago, I was the same way. I used to do water changes and everything for the goldfish. And no matter what, they wind up getting sick. You're using tetracycline. It's like, wow, these goldfish are really a hassle. And I see it on YouTube. I see people with very large viewership, very large. And they're, losing their goldfish, or they're constantly treating them for something. And you don't see that on my channel. Yeah, I don't want to be doing something like that because I want to show you that what I'm showing you works. And it really works to the point where if you have to actually start treating your tank constantly, then it's not working. The fish has an immune system. It's got to keep the immune system up. That is another thing I wanted to bring up. If the immune system is strong enough where they can get damaged, heal themselves or whatever, or they can fight off a lot of stuff that normally we would have to give chemicals for, that goes to show you that maybe there is a lot of truth in what nitrates do and the damage they can do to, our animals, and we don't realize it. It could affect their immune system. I mean, if you think about it like this, think about it like your oxygen levels are between 100, 97, right? You're fine. You go out, you exercise, you ride your bike. But what if your oxygen level went down to like 84? It doesn't mean you would die, but you would be very tired. You'd be sleepy. You'd be, wow, am I tired? You'd still be alive, but your oxygen level would be down to, let's say, 89, 84. You would start feeling it. It doesn't mean you would be dead, but you'd better get to the doctor, get to the emergency care if oxygen levels drop that low. And that would be signs of they are. So how do we know, in all reality, when fish are subject to high levels of nitrates and phosphates, that they aren't showing some physical malady that we're not seeing? You know what I mean? Abnormality that we're just not seeing, that they could be doing and we're not recognizing it until in the future. So it doesn't mean it's not doing harm to them. It's just maybe we're not seeing the harm it's doing. Okay, anyhow, that's enough for this video. This is Dr. Novak. I want to thank you very much for watching. I did want to make that clear on how I experimented with the Seachem